we have learned about different types of traditional literature. Today we are going to take a closer look at another traditional literature, which is a folk tale. Can someone tell me, what are folk tales? A folk tale is something that is made up. How are they made up? How are they told? Does someone want to? Cameron. In the old times, they told the stories orally, and they kept on passing them down. How do you think they're told today? What do you think people do? What do you think people do? Malin. They what? You forgot. Okay. Andrew.
They keep making the story.
They keep on making the story, but how are they making the story? They keep on passing down the story. But how are they doing that? If they're not telling, well, some people might tell orally, right? But what's another way you can pass on a story? Roman. Well, yeah, they're made up stories, right? Carla. They're written. Today, we are going to read Tony's Bread by Tommy DiPaolo. I practiced my Italian words last night. So, a note about the story. Who can resist the wonderful taste of the Italian bread? Panettone, made with eggs, Bone lettra. Lettra. Do you think I need some more practice?
Yeah.
Me too. I spent a long time doing this last night. So, we are going to look at different elements of folk tale. Literary language. What is literary language? Kaden.
Language from different countries.
Oh, that's another one we're talking about. What's literary language? Nathan.
Like, if you're, reading a book, there will be one character, and you could, speak like this, and for another character, you could speak like this.
Yeah. But, what are, so some examples of literary language are like, once upon a time. So pay attention if we hear once upon a time in this book. So Kaden, you brought up language from different cultures. That is called cultural language.
Italian from Mexico.
Italian words. From where?
Mexico. They speak Italian. I've been there, and I know a few words in Spanish, too.
Oh, okay. Well, this takes place where? Not in Mexico. I did not know that, though. Cameron. Italy, right? Italy. So what did we learn? So cultural language. Una piccolo bambina. Oh, I'm getting pretty good. No, I'm just kidding. But we're going to see words like this in the book. Now, there's something else about this. Did you ever notice that traditional literature or folk tales have things in threes? How about, think of a story, the Three Little Pigs. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine that? Three. Most folk tales have things in threes. In this book, you will see something in threes. I don't want to tell you yet because we're going to get to it. And then, folk tales use trickery. So, they usually have someone, use trickery means to complete a quest or resolve a problem. So someone tricks them, and then we'll see this in the book, to resolve a problem. One more thing. Do we notice something else about folk tales? Have you ever read, Cinderella or lived happily ever after. Most folk tales have a happy ending. Let's go ahead and see if this one does. Tony made bread and only bread in his bakery. It was good and simple, and the villagers loved it. But Tony had a dream. One day, he would have a bakery of his own in Milano and become the most famous baker of northern Italy. What did we notice? How does this story begin? What element of folktale did we notice? Tyler.
Once upon a time or one time ago.
Once a long time ago. Good. All right. So, now Tony lived with his only daughter, Serafina. He was a widower and he had raised Serafina from the time she was uno piccolo bambina, a little girl, and how he spoiled her. Antonio treats Serafina like a uno principessa. A princess, said Zia Clotilda. The finest clothes, the finest jewelry, anything her heart desires, said Zia Caterina. She never has to lift a finger. All she does is sit, looking out the window, eating dolce, sweets, said Zia Porrida. Now that she is old enough to marry, Tony thinks that no man is good enough for his Serafina. The three sisters whispered to each other. Did we notice something else from the elements of folktale? Roman. The three characters are the three sisters. Good. What else did we notice? More.
Once upon a time or one time ago.
Once a long time ago. Good. All right. So, now Tony lived with his only daughter, Serafina. He was a widower and he had raised Serafina from the time she was uno piccolo bambina, a little girl, and how he spoiled her. Antonio treats Serafina like a uno principessa. A princess, said Zia Clotilda. The finest clothes, the finest jewelry, anything her heart desires, said Zia Caterina. She never has to lift a finger. All she does is sit, looking out the window, eating dolce, sweets, said Zia Porrida. Now that she is old enough to marry, Tony thinks that no man is good enough for his Serafina. The three sisters whispered to each other. Did we notice something else from the elements of folktale? Roman. The three characters are the three sisters. Good. What else do we notice? Let's look at Una Principessa. What is that? What kind of element of folktale is that, Kaden?
I was just gonna say the black people are nuns.
Yeah, they might be.
I think the word means princess.
Yeah, well, the element that they are showing us in this folktale is cultural language. Grady, eyes up here. That was true. Tony did think that no man was worthy of his darling daughter. He would not even talk to the young men in the village who wanted to court Serafina. So poor Serafina would sit at the window behind the curtains, eating her dolce and crying. What is dolce? Cameron. Candy. What else? What can we think of something else? Nathan. Bread. Eating her dolce. Crowd cheering, calling for Panettone, Tony's bread. And to this day, the panettone of Milano is eating and enjoyed especially at Christmas. Bravo, Serafina. Bravo, Angelo. Bravo, Tony. What did you notice? How did that story end? Happily ever after. How nice.